performing a sinus trigger, I will be performing a lateral projection, which is the paranasal, for the paranasal sinuses, a PA axial, which is for the frontal and the interior ethmoid, which is also the Caldwell method. Waters, which is the parietal canthal projection, that's going to be for the maxillary sinuses. And the SMB, that's going to be for the ethmoid and the sphenoid sinuses. I am attentive to wall bucky at 40 inches. I do have my console set up for wall bucky as well. I have wiped down the board already because the patient's face will be coming in close to the bucky there. I have my shield ready for my patient for protection, and now I'm going to go and get my patient. Annabelle? Hi Annabelle, I'm Daisy. What is your last name?
Yep.
And your birthday?
6/13/91.
Okay, is there any chance that you might be pregnant?
No.
Okay, good. So what brings you in today?
I've been really congested
Congested for about how long?
for like a week.
Oh wow. Okay.
I've been having pain, headache.
Are you having any pain right now?
No,
Discomfort?
no.
No? Okay. So before we get started, are you wearing any clips on your head?
No.
Okay, good. You're not wearing any earrings, so that's good. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Okay, Annabelle, come right this way, please. I am going to be placing the special for you. This is for protection from radiation. And I'm going to tie this up in the back one. Alright, now I'm going to start with my lateral projection. It's going to be the right lateral. Go ahead and step up to the board as close as possible for me. Right there. And now go ahead and turn towards me. Now, for this projection, I want her interpupillary line to be perpendicular to the IR, her mid-sagittal plane to be parallel to the IR. And the central ray is going to be coming in 1/2 inch to 1 inch posterior to the outer canthus. So, let's go back a little, right about there. So now, I'm going to bring up my IR there. I'm going to place my right marker. Now I'm just going to collimate in. Right about there.
Yay, team!
And for okay, so mid-sagittal plane is parallel with the IR. Interpupillary line is perpendicular to the IR. The central ray is coming in 1/2 inch to 1 inch posterior to the outer canthus. For this projection, I do have my IR crosswise. For this technique, I'm going to be using 80 at 10. I would ask my patient to stop breathing. Go ahead and take my exposure, breathe and relax. Now I will be moving on to my PA axial, which is the Caldwell method. I'm going to go ahead and change my cassette, get a new one, put it portrait-wise, remove my marker, and change the marker. Now, for this one, I do want to form a 15-degree angle from the OML and the IR. So I'm going to bring her as close as possible. I'm going to have the tip of her nose touch the bucky here. And that will approximately form a 15-degree angle with the OML. And I do want my central ray coming in horizontal and perpendicular to exit at the nasion approximately. So it looks like I'm good there. So now I'm just calming and move my marker a little bit over here. Now I would ask Annabelle to stop breathing, take my exposure and breathe and relax. For this technique I would use 80 at 18. And now I would be moving on to my waters method. I would remove my cassette, put a new one in portrait-wise. My marker, I would leave it the same, left. And now for this projection, I do want her OML forming a 37-degree angle with the Bucky here. And I do want her MML to be as perpendicular to the IR as possible. So go ahead and come to the board. Now go ahead and extend right about there. So her MML is forming a perpendicular, and I want the central right horizontal and perpendicular exiting her acanthon. So she's pretty much there, maybe a little bit higher, but I'm centered right there. Okay, right there. And I'm just bringing in my, and now color it a little bit in. Right there. So now I would ask Annabelle to go ahead and stop breathing. Take my exposure, breathe and relax, Annabelle. For this technique, I would use 85 at 18. Now I would move on to my SMV projection. I would remove my marker. And Annabelle, you could please go ahead and turn, facing me. Your back against the board. And place my right marker. Change my cassette, put a new one in portrait-wise as well. For this one, I am going to hyperextend her head back so that the IOML is parallel to the IR. I do want the central ray to come in 3/4 anterior to her EAM, perpendicular. So I'm gonna get her mid-sagittal plane perpendicular to the IR. And Annabelle, we're gonna hyperextend your head, so go ahead and rest the top of your head on the grid there. Here we go. So now I'm just gonna move my central ray, which is 3/4, and mid-sagittal plane is perpendicular. There we go. Now I'm just gonna fix my IR and bring it down a little bit. And fix my marker. Column it a little. Right there. And we are good. I would ask Annabelle to hold her breath, take my exposure, breathe and relax. And for this technique, I would use 85 at 15. And that is it for my sinus trigger.
Here we have a lateral projection of the paranasal sinuses. As you can see, we are able to see all four sinuses. Here we have the frontal sinus, the anterior ethmoid, the posterior ethmoid, the sphenoid, and the maxillary sinus. For this image, we do want proper collimation and exposure technique. Also, we want to see the sella turcica in profile, the mandibular rami superimposed over each other, and the orbital roofs should also be superimposed. Here we have a PA axial of our sinuses. We want to see proper collimation. We want to make sure that the lateral sides of the skull is equidistant from the lateral sides of the orbits are equidistant on both sides. We also want to make sure that the frontal sinus is in profile, and we can also see the ethmoid, the anterior ethmoid sinus as well for this projection. The petrous ridges lies on the lower 1/3 of the orbits, and we want to make sure that our mid-sagittal plane is perpendicular to the IR and that there is no rotation. Here we have our periethyl acanthial sinuses, which is our Waters method. We want to have proper collimation. The main interest for this projection is the maxillary sinuses. We want to make sure that the petrous ridges lies below the maxillary sinuses. We don't want them in the maxillary sinuses. We also want to make sure that our mid-sagittal plane is perpendicular so that there is no rotation. And also that the lateral border of the orbits to the lateral border of the skull is equidistant on both sides. And for our final projection, which is the SMV sinuses, we want to make sure that we do have proper collimation again. The main sinuses for this projection is the ethmoid sinuses and the sphenoid sinuses. We want to make sure that the mental protuberance is superimposed over the anterior part of the frontal bone there. We have our dents right here. We can see our petrous pyramids right here, and here we have the maxillary sinuses. And that is it.